To lead in a world that never stops evolving, you need insights from those who are driving change. Welcome to Breakthrough Innovations, where we bring together the top leaders and innovators who are reshaping their industries. I'm JL Heather, the Principal Executive Coach at Center, and in each episode, I sit down with game-changing executives who share the strategies, insights, and challenges that fuel their success. In the next 20 minutes, you'll gain practical takeaways to drive your own breakthroughs. So if you're ready to stay ahead, join us here on Breakthrough Innovations. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Breakthrough Innovation. With us today is Brandon Teller, the co-founder and CEO of Cold Start, a recent success, and the co-founder and CTO of Binder. Brandon is an expert at simplifying the complex with unique and innovative applications of technology, and specifically, Brandon tackles the application of AI in large content distribution. Brandon, thanks for being here. We're thrilled to have you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm really eager to dig in. And to start, we always start with asking you to share a little bit about your journey and what led to your current role.
So a lot of paths led here, but how we got to Cold Start was actually through another company called Binder, which was another company that has become successful and kind of in a way that we didn't really expect it to. We built an application and we put it to market really quickly. And we were starting to get some users, and they were like, oh, wow, this is great. It feels like people really want to use this. And we're like, oh, this isn't enough users. I mean, we're at 110,000 user mark. We're like, oh, okay, we're not going to compete in the dating space for this. So we started to build technology to focus on user acquisition. And then that led to a snowball effect that did get us all the users with Finder that we could ever want. But it's also led us to being able to do that for other companies. And that led to Cold Start, why companies like kind of started begging us to start selling this technology. Well, we didn't do any normal customer discovery or anything like that that you would normally do with building a product like this. So we kind of found our customer by our customer reaching out to us.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love that concept of iterating until you find the success, that professional persistence that just keeps you going until you find that thing that just kind of clicks. That sounds like what happened with Cold Start. So I'm curious, as you look at Cold Start, I'm interested in hearing more about the innovation that sets it apart, what makes it special, and then what failures and experiences in your past helped you build the success here.
Yeah, so what sets Cold Start apart from we're considered a strategic SEO tool. So like we build millions of pages automatically. We focus on landing pages and optimization with like what we're doing with the product side, right? But our main goal with Cold Start, unlike other companies, is large content distribution. To be able to think of like a product that maybe doesn't exist or doesn't exist everywhere that it could, and then putting it everywhere that it should exist. So whether it's in message fields or forums or wherever it might need to be, and automatically doing that for companies with AI, with content distribution, and in clever ways that otherwise wasn't possible. So like think of it more, I always say it's a content distribution platform more than it is even an SEO platform, even though our main product right now heavily focuses on SEO and it's working really, really well for all of the customers that we have on it right now. And then in terms of like failures that have gotten us to this point, and there's a lot. I think what it starts with is kind of where I started my career, which was building websites and mobile applications for other people. Like I was a CTO at an agency for about 8 years, and then I actually built that to be pretty successful. Like we got it to a 10 million ARR company. Like we did a lot of really awesome things. We worked on so many products. By building mobile applications, I've been a part of teams and led teams of over 150 different mobile applications in those 8 years. But I can tell you, like, probably on one hand, maybe two hands, like how many were actual successes. And it always came down to the same thing. It's like you build a product, everybody expects somebody to come, and then it's like, okay, I solved this one thing in my career really, really well. It's like, I know how to build products, but the other thing I didn't solve was like, how do I get people on these products? And that was kind of where I think Cold Start came to fruition. And I always had this idea, which it's hard when you're working with a founder who just spent a bunch of money building an app. Some have marketing plans, some don't. Some go with traditional media, so they're going to pay for your ads. You're going to do the way that you're told to do things. But I had this idea in the back of my head. It's like, okay, I wonder if I could automate this process. Like if I could just get my brand everywhere I want it to be, I wonder if it'll work. And then we were in an accelerator. And we actually got told by a mentor of ours, they're like, hey, you don't have enough users. Yes, you have more users than everybody in the accelerator, but you're a dating platform. So how are you going to compete? And how do we get from 10, 15,000 users to, at that time, it was 60,000 users, which was like, that wasn't even enough. I don't even think they knew that. We didn't know that either. So we're like, okay, let me try this idea. So we spent a weekend working on it, and that version's not nearly as good as the version we have now, as with every startup, right? But it worked. So we're like, oh, okay, we're on pace to it. And then I think 3 months later, we actually were at 40 or 50,000 users. Okay, this is exactly where we need to be. And then 100,000 blew by, then 150,000 blew by, then 200,000 blew by. And like now we're like mainly focusing on getting to that million user mark for that dating app. But that's the kind of failures that led to successes for us to know
Failures.
that, yeah, that like even Binder was like, hey, this one's doing better than other companies that we've seen. So I think being able to understand what a failure really looks like has kind of like led us to like figure out problems to mitigate failures, or even to know like, hey, is this really a failure or not? And then that's what we look for even with our customers. Like we try to find customers that actually have product market fit potential that likely don't have like the ability to get their product out there.
Well, and I really like this perspective. Let me think of how I want to say it. Sometimes solving your own biggest problem is your next biggest product idea.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. So with Cold Start, I mean, we didn't plan to sell this to anyone. This was something that we made for Binder, and it was like, are we going to keep this as our secret sauce? And then I was like, no, I don't want to do this. Like I've always been kind of a sharing person. I was like, no, I'm not going to keep. So I started doing, it was actually a Medium post, like how to get your first 1,000 users on a dating app. I went out there and posted about this and said, hey, this is how you do it. Like just do these things. And then my LinkedIn started flooding in, and get like one founder a week reaching out and like, oh, okay. Like, can I pay you for this? Can I pay you to have you do this? I'm like, okay. Then I started doing it by hand. I was like, well, this isn't scalable. Like, all right, this is the nice side money as you try to build a startup in a dating world. And then I was like, this. So then I like looking back, like, okay, we've made like a couple $100,000 doing this now, but it's not scalable.
Yeah.
This is like the same thing as what I might as well just be doing agency work at this point. And what really hit, it was in March, and this is when I consider it becoming kind of like a company, was somebody flew out to meet Mary from San Francisco that was going to Stanford and handing out like, I don't know if it was $5 or $50 gift cards, but they're hitting off gift cards to get people to sign up for their dating app. They did get the funding that we were never able to get. They had like $3 million funded or something like that. We never had that. We never had that accelerant, and we had more users than they did. And they flew out to get advice from Mary, and then Mary showed them the software and just blew their mind.
Nice.
And then I realized like, oh, like somebody drove like flying cross country last minute to figure out how to do these things.
Yeah.
Because this is such a big need and a big problem for every company. And then look back at like all the companies I had worked on and all the companies that failed that really just needed that extra push that could have been successful. And I was like, wow, like this actually could change the entire game for everybody. I was like, content distribution is like so that's when we decided like, okay, we made an API and SDK, we automated the process, we took it out of this like agency style work, and we made it into this other company that was awesome. And then the longest part for us was actually getting all the legal work done with it, because like with taking on that much data, you have to do a lot of things for it over the summer. Started signing on contracts late September and October, and that first week we did more revenue than Binder did for the entire year.
Wow. It's interesting. Are you familiar with the Lean Startup by Eric Ries?
Yes. Yeah. We have like 4 of those books sitting around the house.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, if you read it now, it would sound really familiar. And I think for anyone listening, what you're talking about is basically what is laid out in the book, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Fantastic book. It's also kind of the basis for things like design sprints and all these different product innovation, let's call them accelerators for lack of a better term. So I love it. Like this is resonating really well with me.
Yeah, that's so there's the cold start problem. And then and that's kind of where the idea of the name came from, was the cold start problem.
Yeah.
But also, it played into one of my failed startups, which was called Marvel. It was a car community, so it played into cold start from cars as well. So I was like, okay. And had we had this technology for that startup, it might have been more successful, but we didn't have a way to get users on it. We were messaging people on LinkedIn. I was giving away products for free. We were breaking even. I mean, we tried giving away a car, and it wasn't working. And it was a car social media site where people could find and share and do events and groups. And we over-engineered it. We thought if we add more features, we could find product market fit. And that it was a huge waste in time sink.
Right.
So that was actually my first personal failure out of agency work. So it's kind of funny, the cold start problem, playing back to the home edge of it. That's why we came up with the name Cold Start. It's okay, I think everybody at the company likes vehicles or cars with some kind of cold start. That's what we're going to go for.
I love it.
Yeah.
So Cold Start's obviously been a success. You're growing dramatically. You have people, I'm sure you haven't turned anyone away, but it sounds like you're not too far from that. I'm curious, what are the other challenges that you're facing today that are forcing you to adapt, learn, and how are you approaching them?
Okay. So this is a great question. We have 250 companies waitlisted. We have turned away companies at this point because we don't work with direct competitors from ones that we take on. And we have even some situations where certain companies are competing with each other that are negotiating on contracts right now. And we're we don't do a bidding war. We don't do it but we're hey, it's whoever signs first. If it's two, so there's some pushiness to get contracts signed because of that, because we're not going to sell it to, we're not going to compete against ourselves, is all I'm getting at there.
Right.
In terms of problems though, 250 companies waitlisted is a huge problem actually.
Yeah.
We're hiring 15 people right now. We're onboarding every day. There's customer demos. Every day there's hiring people. Every day there's filling out order forms, contracts, everything that you can think of. These are all great problems to have, but everything is breaking all at once. And then you're onboarding customers too. So these are real problems at a company that you're figuring out to improve time, to get people onboarded quicker, to make the process awesome. But the one thing that we've never messed up on is when this product goes to market, we rank out people X every time. Nice. It never fails. Their product is out there, and it always ranks the way that we promised that it will. And we thought it was going to take a week or a month, but it's literally taken a day every single time.
Wow. Well, and it's interesting, thinking about that idea of a wait list. So many people would love to have that problem, but it kind of feels like if you have that kind of wait list, you're basically asking for a competitor.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some competitors that popped up. We were hoping to get into Y Combinator. We still applied, so if we get in, that'd be great. The competitors. So we did notice a trend. We noticed that there's 2 competitors in Y Combinator's fall batch that line up with what we're doing. They don't seem to have content distribution down though. I'm not going to name them because let them figure out their own product. But they don't seem to have content distribution down, and they don't seem to be focused on that. They seem to be focused on the SEO aspect, which I think is a critical difference in what they're doing versus what we're doing. Also, they don't have customers yet. So when you don't have customers and you don't have a key problem that you've proven to solve with case studies, it's just a different world. Maybe a year ago, we would have said we were an SEO company, but we're moving quicker because we were able to get to market really quick with this. But clearly, AI-driven content and SEO and content distribution is going to be forefront of the future of everything that's being done. I mean, we have to, so another problem we have is ethics as a company. So we have we're figuring out what we have to do to set a board of ethics to make sure that we're using the technology correct. We could skew election results. We could put out false information at mass scales that no company could keep up with. And these are real problems that you don't want to do as a company. So these are things that we've all talked about, and even our own biases of political feelings. We have to be very careful
Right.
about that. So we're more focused on the marketing side of it. But these are real issues now that technology like ours exists. We're in the stone age of it still. So the better it gets, the more of a problem it's going to get for companies. Like we could skew like the results of AI.
Yeah.
Like that's the real problem. Is like, okay, how do you create something that could disrupt AI? Like that's actually a really big issue because that doesn't just disrupt AI, that disrupts Google, that disrupts everything in the world, and you got to be really careful. And so,
No, I love that. I mean, the ethical
yeah.
use of any solution, AI or otherwise, is always a really important topic. And I'm glad to hear that you're considering it. Now, the last question here before we wrap up, where can people connect with you, learn more about what you're doing, and find some ways to collaborate?
So coldstart.co, you can connect with us there. That's the website. No, we're not running Cold Start on Cold Start. That is by design. I don't know what we would do if we were doing that right now. We are actually trying to keep up with what is going on. I expect that to probably happen in 2025. First 3 months in there. We're raising some funds. Looks like we're going to be closing our round in January based on some of the VCs we've been talking to. And
Congratulations.
in terms of like where to like reach out, LinkedIn's a great one too, if you want to reach out to me personally. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And like and I mean it, like reach out to LinkedIn. I love talking to founders. Like we're selling software for companies that want to buy this software, but I also just love talking to founders when we have time and we're able to, because if I can save somebody 2 years of wasted time, that's wonderful, because like that's how you like really change the world. Like everything that we've done to save time, or mentors that have come to us, like, that's put us like through the moon of like what to do and to do it really quickly.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Yeah. And that idea of saving time. I mean, there's the cliche of time is money, but I think the other part of it is, when you talk about helping other people, like you tried to give this solution away in the beginning, with your Medium article, which I think is fantastic. And I think there's that theme of, yes, you're successful. Yes, you're making money, but at the same time, you're doing it in a way that matches your values and giving back to people and helping people realize their dreams just the way you're realizing yours. And I think that's a powerful message.
Yeah. The strategy wasn't to make money off of this. Originally, it really wasn't. It was to put it out there like this is how it works, and then the implementation of it was hard for people. And I'm like, oh, just do this. It's easy. Here's how it works. And people are like sitting there staring at me with their mouth like just like wide open. And then actually one of our like earliest advisors into the company, one of the first people that we met at Finder, he pulled me aside, like, you need to make this a business. I'm like, I don't know how to make this a business. So that was my first response to him. It's a little funny now.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'll invest into it. I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm not going to do that. We're doing Binder. And it's a little funny just like looking back into that like situation, because like he was absolutely right. He saw what we did. And it just took a few customers like really knocking down that door to be like, okay, yeah, this is a business.
Right.
It's one thing when like a potential investor tells you that. It's another thing a customer is like, okay, we're going to make you make this a business. Like this isn't up to you anymore.
It's like when your mom
then,
believes in you. All right. But when someone else believes in you, now it starts to mean something.
A lot of them, like your investors are designed to believe in you. So like, your investors are designed to give you advice and to bring that experience to you as well. And also to find you to do the things that you need to do. And it was just super valuable. They bring perspective but your customer, when your customer is beating down the door for something, then you know that you're onto something. And then for both Finder and Cold Start, that is something that happened with both. We never struggled with customer acquisition for either. So think about that. That's my like thing to founders. Like think about that. Like if people are like really clearly interested and want this thing, just find out how to get it to them quicker. That is always the name of the game. If you can get it to them quicker and you can do it better than your competitor, then you're going to win.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much for the great conversation here. I'm extremely grateful to have had a chance to talk to you and to benefit from your insights. And I want to thank everyone else who is here listening for joining us till the end. If today's episode brought you any value, definitely leave a rating or a review on wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you know anyone looking for help with AI content distribution, Brandon seems to be your guy. Definitely reach out, share this podcast episode with them. And remember, try and take some actionable insight from today, apply it, and let us know how it goes, because we'd love to hear about your progress. Thanks again, and we'll see you all again next time on Breakthrough Innovation.